You know, you think you're being really smart, always hunting for the absolute lowest price on everything. But what if I told you that your cheap habits might be the very thing that's, well, leaking thousands of dollars from your bank account every single year? Okay, let's get into this, because today we're going to break down the wild paradox of why spending less can so often cost you way, way more. Seriously, think about it for a sec. What's that one bargain you bought that, broke almost immediately, didn't fit right, or is just sitting in a closet somewhere collecting dust? Yeah, that thing. That was probably the most expensive thing you bought all year, simply because you got absolutely zero value out of it. So to really, really get this, let's look at a perfect real-world example. I like to call this the handbag paradox, and trust me, it's going to completely change how you look at price tags from now on. Okay, so picture this. I was looking for a new handbag. I found this gorgeous designer one I loved for over $1,000, but that just felt insane. So what did I do? I did what a lot of us do. I found a $10 dupe online. And you know what? It looked great for exactly 3 trips out of the house. Then the strap just snapped. It became instant trash. Now, this is where the math gets kind of crazy. That $10 bag, which I used just 3 times, cost me $3.33 per wear. The expensive one, though, if I used it just once a week for 10 years, which is totally reasonable for a quality bag, it comes out to only $2.39 per wear. I mean, do you see that? The so-called cheap bag was actually 40% more expensive every time I used it. And this brings us to the most important metric for smart spending, and maybe the key takeaway of this whole thing: cost per use. It's not about the price you pay at the register. It's about the value you get over the entire life of the item. You gotta forget the sticker price. This is the number that tells you if you're actually getting a deal. But of course, it's not always about stuff physically breaking, right? Sometimes the hidden cost is just in pure waste. And this gets into the psychology of it all. Like, why do we keep falling for these deals that promise more but just end up costing us? This quote right here just nails it. We're not shopping for ourselves, we're shopping for our fantasy self. We buy things not for the life we actually have, but for the idealized, perfect life we imagine. So you're not just buying a planner, you're buying the fantasy of becoming this hyper-organized, super productive person. And this leads to what I call the fantasy self-tax. We all pay it. It's that expensive set of paints for the artist you swear you're going to become. Or here's a classic, the 5-pack of yoga classes you buy to save money, but you only end up going twice. Suddenly, you've paid a fortune for each class. We're basically paying a tax on a person we're not, at least not yet. Okay, but hang on a second. This doesn't mean you should just go out and buy the most expensive version of everything. No way. Sometimes being cheap is actually incredibly smart. The real key is knowing when you're paying for actual substance versus when you're just paying for a brand's giant marketing budget. Skincare is the absolute perfect example. I used to buy a $70 serum because, the bottle was fancy and the ads were convincing. Then one day, I actually looked at the ingredients: hyaluronic acid and ceramides. Guess what? I found a $7 drugstore brand with the exact same active ingredients. And the result? My skin has honestly never been better. In cases like this, you stop buying the dream and you start buying the science. All right, so how do we actually put all this into practice? How do we make it real? Well, here is a super simple 3-step playbook you can use to break the cycle for good. Okay, first, add friction. Go into your browser right now and delete your saved credit card info. Seriously. If you have to physically get up, find your wallet, and type in the numbers, you'll realize that half the stuff you need is just late-night boredom. Second, the 30-day rule. See something you want, put it on the list, and wait 30 days. If you still want it then, and you can pay for it with cash you have, go for it. Most of the time, the urge just completely vanishes. And third, define your enough line. You don't need the newest phone every single year. Your current one is probably great. Recognize when what you have is perfectly, wonderfully fine. And just remember this. The goal isn't to look rich for a bunch of people on the internet you don't even like. The goal is to be rich. And real wealth, it isn't loud. It's the quiet confidence of knowing you have an emergency fund that lets you sleep peacefully at night, knowing that you're secure. So I'm going to leave you with a new question. A question to guide every single purchase you make from this day forward. Stop asking, how much does it cost? And start asking, how much value will this actually add to my life? That single shift in perspective, that's the key to stopping the leaks and finally building real, lasting wealth.